.org for Jay. There's always talk about players adjusting to the stage of March Madness, but what, if anything, did you learn about yourself as you navigated your first March Madness game as head coach?
Great question. It was exciting. You still get the same feeling as if when I played in March Madness. You get that same type of feeling, that excitement, that joy, that is like an anxious excitement. You get the same feeling. So it was great. I enjoyed it. It was a neutral, but it really was a road game. So it made it even more exciting. It's something that we've thrived in all year. So it was great.
Your father's impact on your love for the game and you being in the gym so early, how has that kind of translated into your program at Santa Clara, and how a lot of the players mentioned the relationship they had with you and the staff? How has that, you've seen that play out over the course of your tenure?
Yeah, I think it's something that you realize along the way that the relationships really touch every part or almost every part of leadership, right? It's hard to come up with maybe more than a couple examples when you talk about leadership that doesn't also touch relationships, right? And I think that's something I had to learn as a coach, that the investment you make in relationships is much more important than the investment you make in X's and O's. Not that it's not relevant or important, it certainly is, but it's the most important thing. And the guys we have on our team now make that easy. If you don't get along with them, you better look in the mirror, because we are blessed with some extraordinary young men.
Racketeer.org. Mark, your time at BYU kind of coincided with Santa Clara's rise under Herb. When it comes to the times that you faced off against her, what are some of the principles that have to stay sharp from your experience? And then specifically to this team, what sticks out?
Yeah, Herb is so good, man. He's so good, and he's so fundamental. And his guys are smart. They play with an IQ. They have a purpose. He's actually, you can, if you watch his last, I think he's been in Santa Clara maybe for a decade. Is that possible? And he's really evolved also. This team is way different. The way he employs different principles with his roster, the way that this team is extending pressure and then really tightening the screws in the half court is something that's been a part of him before, but he's doing it in such a different way right now. With his personnel, he's really adapted the way he's playing right now with his personnel in a beautiful way. He's as good as there comes. He's one of the best coaches in the country. He's one of the best people in the country. And so, I watch him all the time, see what I can steal from him. I think he's really good.
.org. First for Alan, you mentioned Sunday that you guys are excited to be here, but also that the job isn't finished and that you have business to attend to. How has that process kind of internalized and take shape over the course of your practices this week?
Definitely, the practices have been very competitive. They're always competitive. The whole season we hadn't really switched too much up because we're just sticking to what we know and sticking to what we do. And obviously, we don't want to look too far ahead forward, but we want to be where our feet are, be in the present moment, and attack each and every day like it's another opportunity to grow and to continue to improve.
.org. First for Trey and Malika, can you kind of just describe the journey to the point of when you got the first phone call from Coach Lucas to now, and kind of what this whole season's kind of encapsulated for you guys?
Trey, you're first, please. The first phone call with Coach Jay is I'll never forget it, because I was at a real low moment. And it meant the world to me, because I felt like everybody had gave up on me. And just having a coach that believes in you, that trusts in you no matter what you've been through, it means a lot. So it's something I'll never forget.
That first phone call with Coach, like Trey said, I always will remember it. He put his utmost faith in me and believed in me. So I just want to thank Coach for putting that trust in me and letting me fight throughout the season.
Question: you're in your playing days. You went to the NCAA tournament with Cal and Ben Braun. How much of that experience and wisdom do you impart on your team, or is it more of an approach of you'll offer that experience and perspective if a player comes up to you? How do you strike that balance?
That's a good question. I keep in contact with all my coaches. My elementary school coach, Coach George Friel, him and his family will drive down. My high school assistant coach will drive down. Ben Braun is probably doing TV, but we often talk and converse. Leonard Hamilton, you know, somebody that I've worked for. He'll be watching as he started his first job was at, or his second job was at Miami. I have a close relationship with those guys. So for me, I take my identity as a coach, and ever since I knew that would be my path, I kind of put the do's and don'ts, the things I would do, the things I would change, sort of in a book. And in that book, I've written things down on how I want my process to go. I don't lead with I'm a former player. My identity is coaching. I'm not a player. I don't talk about my playing career. I talk about winning, and I talk about winning championships. I know how to win, and that's where I summarize it to. But I'm not standing on a soapbox talking about I had 30 this game and 15 this game, and I don't even think I ever scored 30 anyway. But I don't talk about that, right? I don't talk about that. I talk about winning behavior. And silently, I measure winning and losing behavior, and I eradicate certain things that needs to go. So in part, I use it in my intuition when I can foresee something coming. I use it in my adjustments that I have to make in game. And it's just a plethora of experiences because I've worked for some great coaches, late great Dennis Johnson, Alvin Gentry in the NBA. I worked for Tom Crean. I worked for Leonard Hamilton. I worked for Ricardo Patton. I worked for Ben Braun. I worked for David Carter, right? I've worked for a lot of guys, you know, that have won a ton of games, and that is not the remotely close to where I usually pull from. I pull from others because that's what I've always done in my life. So great question. I appreciate the question.
Jay, the margins are so tight in this game. I kind of think back to your guys' game against Cal earlier this season. How did that ultimately kind of tighten the screws for your team and eventually the platform it gave you guys to execute down the stretch of the season and now into this part of your postseason?
Yeah, you know, that game, our team was kind of changing. I believe that was the first game without True. When he had stepped away for a little bit, and we missed every layup down the stretch. You give me PTSD right now. But, you know, we've been in so many tight games. We've been in so many close games. I think it's like 8 or 10 or something have been 10 or less. And then all our losses, a lot of them have been one possession. You know, you think about Louisville, you think about Cal, you think about Florida State, at Virginia. You know, those tight ones that we lost in conference, you know, all that experience has just given us confidence in those moments not to panic because we won our fair share too. But you just pull from all that data in these moments. And that's why your schedule and your conference and all that stuff is so important because when you get in these moments in March, all these games are close. All these games are tight. You look at the games today, you know, and what's happened. They're close. So you just have to be able to pull from your experiences. That's what helps you down the stretch in these games.
For Elijah, being a recruit from West Valley, now getting over to Santa Clara, now this seems like expectations have risen. What was kind of the most fulfilling part of your journey in fulfilling the expectations and bringing Santa Clara back to the NCAA tournament?
Everything. You know, I'm just proud to be a Bronco. I'm proud for what I did here and what we did here and we're able to accomplish this year. It means a lot, honestly. This is a great school. I'm thankful. I really am thankful to have a career here and to be here for 2 years, and I'm just thankful.
You and Sean have been doing this for a long time, but how have you kind of seen him almost, so to speak, reinvent himself from his time at Xavier, Arizona, back to it, and then now at Texas, compared to you at predominantly one spot? How have you seen Sean kind of reinvent himself over the years?
Yeah, this is the third place that we've played him. We played him when he was at Xavier, man, a long time ago. 15, 17 years ago. I think we played him twice and they beat us, if that's right. We played him in the Bahamas, if I got that right, in one of the best seventh place games ever in the history of basketball. So they had Aiden, and they were good, but they were number 2 in the country, and they lost all 3 games in the Bahamas, and so we lost our first 2, and we beat them pretty good in that magical 7th place game. And then we won 19 straight after that, and they won a bunch. They won like 15 out of 16. So like sometimes those things, even though you don't like going through them, they can really help you. But no, he's a great coach. You know what you're going to get from one of his teams. Like, if you're going to earn your victory if you can get there. Just because they're going to play hard, they're going to play together, they're going to play tough. And I think sometimes doing it on the quick turnaround, what he's had to do it is a little bit more difficult, right? Because now you're taking on a new job once again. So he did it at Xavier. Now he did it again, at Texas. And so now you're trying to feel your team out. And so when you get to the end of the season, you want to be playing your best basketball, but you also want to be in a good position. It's a hard thing to do, but he's done a masterful job here, to be where they are and to be able to be playing. But they have a good team, and now they're collectively playing well together. They're defending, they're fighting, they're scrapping, but they can make individual plays. And he's always done a good job of getting his best guys to play to their strengths.
Call that you get the job at Miami to, as you sit here right now, how do you put in towards everything that's happened through it all?
I mean, one, you can always have a plan and have stuff in place that you think is going to work, but the ability to adapt. But for me, it started with Malik and Trey. They were my first two commits. They were the two people I wanted to build a team around, build a team through. So it started there, and then it kind of dominoed with Sheldon and Ernest and Malik. Ernest and True, and then we kind of built it from there. And for me, I just wanted to make sure, because I was a former player, I've been in those points, I've transferred, I know what that feels like. I wanted to make sure I gave them everything I had of me so they could enjoy their last year of basketball and they could get the most out of them in basketball. And I felt like they did, with both of them being all conference players. Malik first team, Trey second team. Sheldon should have been all freshman team, but that's a different conversation. But as much as they can say about them, about me, I can say about them. I'm forever in debt for them. They've put Miami basketball in a place where we can go nowhere but up.
And the quips about the Queens location and all that, but how ultimately did you guys think you as a whole and a unit put Queens University out on the map?
Just obviously being the smaller school in the tournament, even being in Charlotte, North Carolina, I feel like we showed, no matter the size of the school, nothing, it's hoopers everywhere. And I feel like we really showed that from all the way through the ASUN conference all the way to here. Even though we lost, we fought, like G said in the locker room, we fight hard. We fought hard to the end. And I feel like you can't ask for more than that for a small school. Just show fight, and that's what we did.
And based on the investment into the community and the program, what's your message to them in terms of what should be the lasting memory of this team and what they did?
I think there'll be time subsequently to reflect on all that. What you find is sports is a tremendous vessel to enjoy relationships. Whether it's a son coming to the games with his dad. Tonight, my father was able to be in the stands together with other family members. The relationships of, you have with your staff, your teammates. The sport, the game, is a vessel to accomplish that. And that's what you take away, not only from this season, because, by many standards it was successful, but any season, even seasons that, you don't win as many games, they have the same outcome, ultimately.